All right, we're back. We're back on YouTube. Anyway, what else? We got a few other stories here. The Polish government is drawing up plans to offer military training to every adult male, basically in the face of the growing Russian threat. Poland's president has proposed enshrining defense spending of at least 4% of GDP in the country's constitution, which is great. It did reach 4.1% of GDP last year. We were talking about that yesterday. People were saying they thought 3 point something. It actually was 4.1 and could rise to 4.7% this year, which is great. Germany, this was interesting too. Listen to this. Germany should reduce reliance on U.S. arms amid geopolitical shifts, Airbus's defense and space CEO says. This, I think, was a summary from the Kyiv Independent. Denmark may already be realizing that purchasing U.S.-made F-35 fighter jets was a questionable decision, particularly if they actually had to defend Greenland. Well, that's a really interesting point. Wow. See, this is the problem of what these guys have done and what Trump has done. Europeans now have to consider the fact that we may be the enemy, right? I mean, you may go to war with us. If Trump tries to take Greenland by force, we're going to war. I mean, quite literally, it's a very scary thought. And if you've got American weapons and the Americans can either turn off the support, turn off the maintenance, or just turn off the switch, depending, I don't know. It's a very scary thought. And that, again, Trump is doing so much damage to our country in terms of the long-term defense and economic relations we're having with the rest of the world. And he doesn't care because he doesn't know better because he's not smart enough, but he also just doesn't care. He's in it for himself and that's it. Very scary though. Oh, there you go. Julian says, Canada has an F-35 problem as well. We have no control over the software upgrades. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's kind of like our TikTok app, right? When the TikTok app gets turned off and then we're all screwed, if the Americans turn off the app, no, I mean, this is very bad. I mean, honestly, you guys shouldn't trade with us. You shouldn't buy our military equipment. I mean, I would, if I were, I mean, you're going to have to, obviously, you don't have a choice with some of this stuff, but if I were a foreign government right now, an ally of the United States, I would be like the Canadians and I would start trying to find out what you could do to basically show the Americans if they're going to screw around, you're going to screw back, Oh no. Okay. Any case, what else we got here? This was kind of weird. So Trump, I don't know what to make of this. Russia has called for a dialogue after Trump said it would be great if everybody got rid of their nuclear weapons. Thank you, Alan, for the gift. First of all, I don't think you can get rid of nuclear weapons. It's not like you can uninvent them. Second of all, if the US and Russia and China, and I guess France and the UK, diminish their nuclear weapons to like almost zero, then doesn't that potentially make us less powerful vis-a-vis countries like Iran that are going to probably get nukes soon, or Pakistan that have nukes? I'm very kind of divided on this just because, I guess like the concept is interesting, right? I mean, if you're in favor of arms control, then why not be in favor of massive arms control, like getting rid of 90% of our weapons or something, or 99% of our weapons? I don't know. Right. North Korea is a problem, right? North Korea is a huge problem. Actually, we don't have a choice with that. Could you get North Korea to agree? UK does have nukes. Oh yeah. UK and France both have nukes. Yep. Joseph. Yes. Iran doesn't yet, but Iran's going to get them soon, probably. I should say we believe Iran doesn't have them yet. We believe. Anyway. Oh, was somebody coming after Misha? Don't come after our Misha. What was it? Nasha Misha. All right. So, or Nash, I guess I should say you're a guy. Nash Misha, maybe. That's the extent of my Russian. Final point here. Oh, this is good. French Mirage 2000 fighter jets have taken part in Ukrainian air defense for the first time. Ukraine's Air Force said some 34 missiles and 100 drones launched by Russia in an overnight attack were shot down, according to the Air Force. Apparently by the French Mirages the Ukrainians are using, which is very cool. So anyway, All right. So this is the part we hang out. I've went through all the news. Basically, we sort of go through the news and then we just sort of hang out and take your guys' questions and comments or whatever for a while at least. Hang on, I'm also going to adjust my screen now that I can like sit back a little bit. I can adjust my screens. Hold on, trying to. Boop. There we go. That's better. There we go. At least I can sit back more comfortably now. There we go. Oh boy. Whew. Yes, YouTube was being evil. It crashed and I had to restart it. It just crashed entirely. Yeah. And YouTube, unfortunately, when it crashes, you can't restart the page. It just kind of goes away, which is very annoying. So anyway, mainstream media is the real news. Yeah. What are your thoughts on the 800 million rearm plan of Europe? I don't think I saw that. Europe is going to have to figure out, overall, thank you, Hellian. Thank you, Bowie. Thank you, Hellian, again for the gifts. Overall, the Europeans are going to have to defend themselves. You cannot trust America anymore. You can trust Democratic administrations. You can't trust Republican ones. And the other problem you've got is even if a Democratic president is in charge and he will come to defend Europe, Republicans in Congress may just cut off the money, which they can. So it's, look what they did. Remember Republicans on Ukraine. Republicans killed funding for Ukraine for 6 months, like about a year ago. They could do the same thing if war breaks out in Europe between the Russians and Europeans. You cannot trust our government anymore. You need to be, unfortunately, you're going to have to spend a lot more on defense, unfortunately, which is really too bad. But, so yeah, so I don't know about the European plan for 800,000 euros, but was this actually, you know what? I shouldn't say that. Was this no, that was the French. The French were looking at taking loans or something to build up their military. All of you are going to have to build up your military much more significantly. Well, we don't quite know, Todd. Todd is talking about what's going on in Kursk. There were reports today that the Russians had a big breakthrough in Kursk, I believe it was. And Kursk was the region that the Ukrainians took over from the Russians in Russia, but then the Russians got half of it back. And the Ukrainians were not commenting on it, but I didn't see anything else beyond that. Hot Pocket, I can see you. There is no shadow ban. I wish there were on YouTube. There's no shadow ban. We can see you. If I ban you, I ban you. Then you're just gone. I guess that's true. If you're banned, if I ban you, you can still see, but you can't comment. But you're commenting right now. So yeah, so you're fine right now. Anyway, Turkey is really up for supporting Ukraine to get back Crimea. Turkey did mention, I think yesterday, that they're interested in potentially providing troops for the peacekeeping effort, which is interesting. So that I thought was pretty good, Tillett is asking, how much do we get European Union news in the States? Because Americans don't understand what the European Union is, for starters. Second of all, we don't particularly care. I'm not talking about me, of course, but I'm saying as Americans, they don't care about European Union news. Maybe something big, you know what I mean? Like the European Union today declared war. Okay, whatever. Maybe if the EU did such a thing, but you're not going to. It'll pop up in. Sure, it'll pop up in the New York Times and the Washington Post, okay, and the Wall Street Journal. But a lot of Americans aren't going to follow that stuff. Only it's sort of specialty, people like me, sort of specialty people who are more educated and work in Washington, D.C. or New York and work in politics or finance or something like that. So the news will break through if it's important enough, but it's not like Americans care. Regular Americans don't care. I did not email Elon, Dr. B. I was afraid to. I just posted his email for the transparency, but I was a little afraid to do it on my own. Oh boy. Oh, excuse me. Amanda's asking any updates on JD Vance insulting France and the UK. No, except the Brits are getting really pissed, which I'm glad to see. Callum's been sharing with me a number of videos on the Brits getting like really annoyed because basically JD Vance attacked the UK and France and suggested that they are random militaries who haven't fought a war in 40 years. The problem is Britain and France actually did fight wars in the last 40 years. They did it alongside Americans at the request of Americans in Afghanistan and Iraq. And they did it because we asked them to several times. And a number of Brits and Frenchmen were killed. I saw a video today of a British soldier who lost a leg, I think in Afghanistan. He did a video basically telling JD Vance to go F himself. But the Brits have been doing a really good job sort of throwing this back in Vance's face, which is good. He thought, JD Vance, who's our vice president, he thought he was going to be cute by attacking Europe and by attacking, again, this is what passes as the Trump people and MAGA people. They think by attacking Europe, it makes them cool, even though you guys are our friends and literally our military allies. They don't care. This is what I keep telling you. They don't care. I mean, they don't care that you're our friends. They don't care that you're our allies. They don't care that you fight alongside us militarily. You need to make them care. You need to make them pay a price for all this stuff. I mean, seriously, Denmark cut off the damn Ozempic. Denmark ought to go, you know what? Fine. If you're going to threaten us, maybe you just shouldn't buy any of our medicine. And all of a sudden watch the Americans without their Ozempic because Donald Trump pissed off the Europeans. That would be interesting. For Donald Trump himself, I might add, anyway, what else? Oh, excuse me. Well, the MAGA thing is basically a cult. I mean, that's the problem. It's just, anyway. What else, guys? What else? I'm definitely still feeling like out of it with even though I got back from Italy Monday night. It's funny. This is the time when it hits me and I sit here and I kind of go, oh, la, la. A little bit of tired, but it's okay. I saw your question before, Easy. Why is it okay for Russia? Well, it's okay. I mean, they asked, bring them back, Amanda. It's okay. I mean, they asked a few too many times, but the question's a fair question. I mean, I know they're spamming. Bring them back and tell them, basically, we don't want you writing the same question over and over and over again because it becomes kind of spammy. But it's a fair question, so I'll answer it. But just try not to do that in the future, asking the same thing repeatedly. But the question was, why is it okay for Russia to bring North Korean troops to the war? I mean, it's not okay, but, what are we going to do about it? For the Russia to invite North Koreans to fight in Ukraine. I mean, what are we going to do about it? It's not okay, but there's just nothing we could do about it, but it's not okay. But, yeah, I do fear none. Fear no one says, so you want to continue to fight European wars if we has historically, they need to solve it. Yeah, because historically, I'm glad we don't speak German and have Heil H-Man, the Fuhrer as our president. Yeah. Historically, Pearl Harbor was bombed by the Japanese. That's why historically we went to war with Japan and Germany, because they literally attacked us. Okay. So why wouldn't we go to, no, but I mean, seriously, are you suggesting that after the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor and killed God knows how many American troops, we should have turned the other cheek? Right? Are you suggesting that we should just sit here and let a horrific fascist government that's murdering millions of people take over all of Europe and then come for us next? Why is that helpful to America? I mean, I'm sorry, but this is like a very typical MAGA kind of comment. And it drives me a little crazy because it's as if you guys think we fight these wars for fun or something like, oh, what the hell, right? We go and we fight these wars to defend America and defend our national interest. And we should at least, we should not get involved in wars unless it is in our national interest to get involved in a war. Have a good night, Dave. And to look at past wars, again, World War I, World War II, and by the way, World War I and World War II, the U.S. sat out the entire freaking war. World War I, we came like the last year. World War II, we sat out a few years. I guess depending when World War II officially started. I always forget that. Did it officially start in 38 or 39? Because we didn't come until like 41, I think. Oh, that's a cool. Oh, crazy flower lady. That was way too generous of you. Thank you for, it caught my eye. I was like, crazy dragon gift over on TikTok. Thank you for that. 39. Okay, 39. So it took us, 2 years to get in the war? I mean, and again, only because 1940, 1941, 41 was Pearl Harbor, right? Help me out here, guys. I don't want to get my years wrong. But, 41. That's what I thought. Yeah. Thank you, Kanga. All right. I know December 7th, but I always forget which year. But I guess I don't forget which year since I said 41. I need to talk to Parker again about coming on, Rusty. He had agreed to come on, and then we had the TikTok shutdown, and everything kind of went crazy. I'm going to reach out to Parker again about coming on. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me. And NJ Patman, thank you for the gift on YouTube. Very nice of you. I'm not sure what you mean, Coach Surf. What's the correlation between our time and World War II? I don't know what you mean by that. I'm just not sure what you mean by that. Thank you, Jonathan. Well, funny you should say that. Alec goes, if the U.S. entered World War II late, then so did the Soviets because they entered the war the same year. Funny you should mention that because the Soviets entered the war late because they were secret allies of the Germans. That's why they entered the war late. They were literally allies of the Germans. They had a secret pact, the Molotov, or maybe not even a secret pact. They had a pact that had a secret codicil to it, the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, that basically the Soviets got together with the Germans and they said, let's split up Europe. H-man in Germany, I know you're afraid about going to war with us because the Soviet Union is so big. We promise we're not going to go to war with you. Feel free to go and attack everybody in Europe and have fun. So the Germans said, this is great, right? The Germans were at least worried about starting the war, and the Soviets gave them permission and said, we're not going to fight you. They said, good. And we'll split up Poland and a lot of other European countries. With you, Germany, the Soviets said. The U.S. is the Russians. They said, we'll just secretly decide we're going to cut Poland in half, you get half, we get half, and all these other countries. That was why the Soviets didn't enter World War II until late, because they were literally allies of the Germans. And then the Germans turned around and attacked the Soviets. And the Soviets had no choice because they were literally invaded by the Germans. They had to turn around. I mean, unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So yeah, there's a reason. Thank you, Dawn H. Crystal Hound, for subscribing. Join us tomorrow morning if you would, if you're around, 11 a.m. Eastern. And remember, guys, next week we have a time change in America Saturday night. Our clocks go ahead an hour. So on YouTube, I already set up Monday's show. So it's there. So you can just go and check on Monday to make sure what time it is. But in principle, it's going to be... Oh, we got a little Russian here. Oh, I always get a kick when the Russians don't actually try to hide who they are. It's like, okay, bye, Russian. So I love that you're spreading disinformation about World War II and the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact that you can literally Google. It's one of the most famous sort of treaties in the history of the world. I mean, he knows all about the Molotov-Ribbentrop. Yeah. I don't know about Pearl Harbor. What don't I know about Pearl Harbor? Which year it was? I'm sorry. Does that bother you somehow? Do you want to leave us, Coach, or what are you talking about? You know what? Coach is going to have a timeout. Coach can come back when he's being nicer. Anyway, what else we got, guys? Well, that's actually, Emil raises a good point too. First, the Russians become allies of the Germans. Then they give the Germans permission to attack all of Europe. They have a secret pact to divide Europe with the Germans. And then the Germans turn around and attack the Russians, and the Russians go, please, Europe, help me, America and Britain and everybody else. Please give us weapons to protect us. And of course we do, because it's in our best interest for Russia to be fighting with the Germans. So we basically save Russia's ass by giving them a ton of weapons. And how do the Russians thank us? They take half of Europe hostage for 45 years as a result and install brutal communist dictatorships across Europe. So, yeah. Oh, lovely. Summer says a new Doge staffer has ties to a Russian oligarch, according to the Rolling Stone. Lovely. Oh, that's good. That's good. Wow. So, Bye-bye. Bye-bye. It's always interesting to see what the secret Russians. It's funny when you guys don't hide yourself very well. We had another little Russian sympathizer on YouTube. And you can tell though, because it's like American name, and then they get livid when you talk about the Russians being allies of the Germans. Livid, but like, why is some American named guy livid that I'm talking about the Russians being allies with the Germans, right? Like, I don't know. Kind of makes me wonder who you really are there. Gotta kind of wonder. Yeah. Yeah. Boxes of correspondence of your dad fought in World War II as a young kid. That's fascinating. Wow. That would be very interesting. Anyway, he's gone now. Gunther. I don't know, but I love that he was sounding like pretending to be an American who was livid that we were criticizing Russia for being allied with the Germans. Not sure why an American would be upset with that. Well, yes, but he's probably a Russian is my point. That's why Abdul, that's why he doesn't care if I'm talking fact, because he's probably a Russian. I'm in Washington, D.C., Lori. Yeah, exactly. Time and state. It's like asking a kid when they want to drink what year they were born in. And they're like, I don't know. Oh man. Anyway, you're Texan, not Russian. Exactly, Jason. Exactly. Anyway, what else, guys? We can hang out a little bit more here. Head is itching. The news that they released the information about Gene Hackman's death, the American actor. It's very strange. His wife had like hantavirus or some virus that killed her. He had Alzheimer's or something. They're saying he had Alzheimer's. So the wife dies of this virus at home in her 60s. He has Alzheimer's and doesn't really understand what's going on. He lives another several days and then dies from a previously existing ailment, which is a little weird. And somehow the dog is in a cage in the closet in the bathroom and it dies. Now, having said that, could I think hantavirus was the name, right? I mean, it's possible that he has Gene Hackman, that he has Alzheimer's and doesn't take medication he needs or takes too much of it or something else. So, and if he hasn't eaten or drunk water in a week, he could have a heart attack, right? I mean, because it's not just keeping up on his meds, Ash, but what if he's not drinking and eating either, right? So that could be it. The dog was in the cage because it had surgery. Oh, okay. Oh, that's horrible. I read it and I went, what are they talking about? Oh, God, that's horrible. Oh, my God. Oh, that's absolutely horrible. Wow. Okay. Ugh. Wow. Yeah, but that's the thing. Exactly. If you don't have water, 3 days without water is very dangerous. He was not dehydrated. Okay. Who knows? Maybe it's the medicine thing then. Wow. It's very weird though. It certainly looked like it was we don't want to use TikTok words that they get upset about, but you know what I mean? That he and his wife did it. But oh my God. Wow. Your dog was sick, Gunther. I'm sorry about that. Glad he's okay at least. The princess is good. She is in the little bed. She's in her pink little bed under my table right here. So she is doing well. Thank you for asking. I don't even know what that is, Jonathan, in South Carolina. I don't know what you're referring to. Is the U.S. leaving NATO? Maybe. I mean, look, U.S. has already left NATO. Trump's not coming to your defense. At least there's a good chance he's not. Let me rephrase that. There is no way you should assume Trump is coming to your defense. There is no way that any European or Canadian should think that Donald Trump is going to come and defend you if you get attacked by the Russians. Right? So, I mean, to that degree, NATO's already dead for the next 4 years. The question becomes what happens after that, Do I think the China and U.S. price war will become serious? It may. I mean, the problem is this is very dangerous. I mean, Trump with his tariff wars, this is how you sink economies. This is what happened, with the Depression, during the Depression, when all of the nations put these tariffs on each other and it caused even more problems. Yeah, he's starting trade wars with China, with Canada, with Mexico. He wants to do it with the European Union now. Today, he talked about doing it with India. It's like, okay, Do I think Russia will try to attack the U.S.? No. I do think that China may try to attack Taiwan. Having said that, the Republicans are very, very anti-Chinese. So it's not clear if Trump would let China get away with that because the Republicans can't stand the Chinese. But still, I mean, it's not clear. Put it this way. Now if you're China, America has an even worse relationship with Europe. Certainly not even a worse. America has a bad relationship with Europe now. We had a good relationship a year ago. Are the Europeans going to come and take America's side in a war with China? If I were Europe, I'd be like, I don't know. Seriously. And I'd make that clear to the Americans. I'd say, you know what? If you're not going to defend us if the Russians invade, we're not going to defend you if the Chinese go to war over Taiwan. Man, I mean, Macron already said something like that a year ago, even before Trump took over. And Macron was like, it's not, I forgot what he said, but he basically said, it's not clear that Taiwan is our war. He didn't say that, but he basically was like, China's far away. This is not a European problem, America's already standing alone. Again, this is the problem is when you get all these people who don't know what they're doing, Queen Jenny says, how I study the languages I speak. I mean, it's kind of a combination though. Like in my high school, my grade school, we started studying Spanish in the fourth or fifth grade. So that would be age 9 or 10. I think age 10, we started studying. You could pick a language. We had to pick a language. So I picked Spanish. So I studied Spanish for like 12 years. French, I wanted to learn French. So in college, very often, not very often, but Americans will go abroad for a year to study in college. And I could have gone to Spain, but I chose France because I wanted to learn French. So I went to France for a year. So that was my second language. At the same time, I'd studied Greek, but I was never good at it. And I finally went when I was in college, in graduate school, I went to Greece for a summer for 4 months, literally brought a grammar book with me and studied Greek. And I was pretty much fluent by the end, but I'd studied it a long time, but not well, but I was pretty fluent in Greek by the end. Really. I would say I was fluent because I had a fight with my Greek cousin in Greek. So I was impressed on that one. Italian, I pretty much taught myself because when I was living in France, I fell in love with Italy. And those are the 4 languages I speak. I studied Russian, but I don't speak it, really. I can do little things in Russian. I am out of Anitas, yes. Sheji, now you got me curious who you are. I am, in fact, yes. And I studied some Portuguese, but couldn't do a damn thing with it now. I mean, nothing with Portuguese. Gamoto, exactly. My parents really did not speak Greek to me, really, because my dad was born in the U.S. And my dad was kind of uncomfortable speaking Greek because he always thought his Greek was bad. His Greek was really good. I mean, he could have conversations with anybody, but he used to think his Greek was bad. And I didn't even know it until like 15 years ago. He's like 80. And I'm in Greece with him and he's making me ask people directions. And I mean, my Greek was okay, but Dad's was much better. And I'm like, why are you having me go? And he goes, because they're mean to me when I ask. I was like, Dad, your Greek is better than mine. So, it's anyway. But yeah, so they didn't really speak Greek to me because Mom was born in Greece. Dad was born here. So their language together was English. So, but yes, my Greek background is Albanian adjacent at least. I'm not my Greek. We have lots of Greek, but I mean, half my family, basically, there's at least close to Albanian. Not really. I mean, we don't know. We don't know. There are strong ties, not even strong ties. There's a connection between sort of this. It's hard to explain. There's sort of a clan in Greece that we share with Albania. There's Greeks in Albania, Greece in northern Greece, and before the borders were well plotted out, we were a mix, basically. Yeah. So I could be Albanian, I could be Greek. Who the hell knows? I mean, I am Greek, but you know, it's kind of a mix. I'm actually going to go in a few years. I was going to go to Albania with my nephew and try to really do. I mean, we know that side of the family back to like 1780, but our great grandfather was relatively famous. So that look Albanian. That's interesting. I don't know what Albanians look like, to be honest. I mean, I've met 2 Albanians in my life, and they did kind of look like Greeks. I mean, white Greeks, or northern Greeks, whatever you want to call us. But it's interesting because like my mom's grandfather spoke Albanian, or Arvanitika, I guess, maybe not Albanian, but spoke the Albanian dialect. My grandmother spoke the Albanian dialect. It starts to get interesting. Why do Greeks living in southern Greece speak the Albanian dialect, right? It's very interesting. But yes, they were sort of forced to assimilate and became Greeks. Yep. Very interesting. Grandfather's name, it's Papatsoris. But he was a general in southern Greece. He and his sons, pretty famous. I mean, not pretty, very famous in our area of southern Greece. There's a statue to him and everything, but he was also sort of a big clan leader, most likely from northern Greece, born in 1780, left probably around 1800, early 1800, southern Greece, we think, we think, but we don't know. I mean, we don't know. I'm going to go and try to find more information by going to northern Greece and Albania in a few years and see if somebody's got history books or something, So very interesting though. What else? Español, sí. Claro que sí. Sure. Send me links on whatever you got. Yeah. But the region is Epirus. I never can pronounce it correctly. I think it's Epirus, like Epirus in English, Epirus, that we're from. But there's also a Greek region in Albania, and that clearly we're all tied to. So it's I mean, I don't want to get into all the Greek stuff. It's probably boring for those of you who aren't Greek, but it's very interesting. The Fed is not dropping interest rates. I did not see that. Somebody's asking about Russian and Ukrainian being similar. Maybe a Ukrainian could explain. I can tell you, as somebody who has studied Russian, I find Ukrainian very difficult. When I look at Ukrainian, I get very confused. I mean, my Russian isn't good, but I can look at Russian and get a lot of words and everything else. When I hear Russian, I hear a lot of words. I hear Ukrainian, and a lot of I don't hear, it's a jumble of words. I tried doing Duolingo in Ukrainian, and I was having the hardest time. I did Duolingo in Russian. It was okay. I mean, I'm back to basic level. I only studied a year of Russian, but Ukrainian, I got very confused. So there's similarities. They can understand each other to a degree, but for me, the languages seemed awfully different. Oh, here we go. CBS News. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell says interest rates on hold amid rise in economic uncertainty. Jesus. Interest rates were supposed to go down 4 times this year. We found out a few months ago, at best, they're going to go down 2 times because the Federal Reserve, who's in control of our interest rates, was afraid of Trump's policies. They were afraid that the economy was still wobbly and that Trump was going to do a lot of things that were going to hurt the economy, for interest, for inflation, and again, well, tariffs for inflation, but also tariffs can also depress the economy. And killing a lot of spending, which he's doing too, which is going to depress the economy. Powell said the Trump administration is making, listen to this. Powell said, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said Friday that the central bank can remain patient in adjusting its benchmark interest rate, in other words, not lowering it, citing uncertainty around the potential impact of President Trump's economic policies. Powell said the Trump administration is making policy changes in several areas, including trade, taxes, government spending, immigration, and regulation, and added that the net effect of those changes are what will matter for the economy and the Fed's interest rate policies. Yeah. Yeah. In other words, they are afraid. CBS says most economists say that Trump's plans to slap tariffs on a wide range of imports, including 25% duties on goods from Canada and Mexico that he partially delayed Thursday, will push up prices and slow economic growth. But many also expect that tax cuts and deregulation could boost the economy. So yeah, I mean, that's the concern now. Wow. Told you so. What do you do? What do you do? Very scary stuff here. Ukrainian is close to Polish. That's interesting. Huh. Rising said, I speak Polish and I can understand Ukrainian, not every word, but most of it. Oh, that's interesting. Yes, some Ukrainian words are difficult for Russians to pronounce. They have a couple words they use as Russian lie detectors. We were auctioning off. I've got to put my Ukraine. So I've got more Ukraine stuff to auction. I do have to do that shortly. I will. But Palyanitsia, something like that. What was it? One of it is a cake or something they make, or a bread, but it's a word the Russians can't pronounce correctly. It's like Palyanitsia, maybe. I don't know if I'm getting it right. And I'm forgetting what the other word was. There was another word too, I think, that the Ukrainians have that the Russians can't say, which is very funny. A shibboleth, yeah. It's like exactly the perfect password. Europe approved 150 billion to Ukraine today. That's excellent, Orlando. Glad to see. How many jobs added last month? The job numbers were not terrible. Unemployment went up a little bit, but the job numbers were decent. They aren't great, but they were decent. So the job numbers were not too bad. Palyanitsia, strawberry, but it also means it's a cake or something, apparently. How much can you mess up America in 4 years? It's only been 45 days. Job growth? I didn't see job growth didn't go down. No, it was, I think, a little less than they expected, maybe like 149,000 jobs. It didn't go down though. No, it still went up. Because I saw, I remember the news earlier today was saying it's like the 50th month that it went up. Palyanitsia. Yeah, that's what I remember. Yep. Yeah, 100 up 151,000. That's what I saw. 149 or 151 is what I remember. Okay, Rising just quoted it. U.S. economy added 151,000 jobs in February in first full jobs report under Trump's second term. There you go. Exactly. And Amanda, Palyanitsia is a kind of bread. Exactly. Oh, exactly. The bread is what Vlad told me. Oh, excuse me. Man. What else, guys? Jeffrey, you're all alone there on Discord, if you're even there anymore. I'm looking over there. There's nobody else there except poor Jeffrey. What else? There, you're there. Okay. Hi, Jeffrey. He's alone over on Discord. That's it. We're going to wrap up soon anyway. It's 7:30. So, anyway, so remember, guys, tomorrow is our show for the paid monthly subscribers. So join us. I'm sorry. I'm doing my jet lag yawn to you again. 11 a.m. Eastern time, US, Discord, TikTok, and YouTube for the paid monthly subscribers. And Sunday, we got the show for the VIP members, the $24.99 and up as well. So remember that. Or Hangout. It's not a show, Hangout. Exactly. The transgender mice. Oh man, a yawn in Scotland. Exactly. It's like around the world yawning. Although you're in Scotland, you have an excuse to be yawning. Okay, although I yawn a lot anyway, but I think I also took a little bit of an allergy pill because I was getting itchy. So I think this is a mixture of jet lag and my allergy pill, unfortunately. Update on the UK. I don't really know what the update is on the UK, Joyce. I don't really know. The UK is giving intelligence to Ukraine, Art for Change. it was kind of a weird story I saw today that said the UK will continue to give intelligence to Ukraine. And I was like, okay, that's not really news that you're continuing to give intelligence. We knew the UK wasn't going to cut off the Brits. And Steve, why am I not a contributor on MSNBC? I don't know. I used to be a contributor on MSNBC and CNN years ago. Pretty much they kind of have on people they know. I knew Joy Reid. Joy had me on a couple times. It went extremely well. I mean, I was good. I was very good. She had me on talking about Pete Buttigieg once. I was very funny. I called him Mr. Rogers. People laughed. Joy, for whatever reason, just wouldn't have me on much. And I don't quite know why. Because I knew Joy. We were, friends. She'd ask me for help on stuff occasionally. I'd help her. But she never would. She'd had me on like 2 or 3 times. And I don't know the other hosts. So actually, Rachel Maddow knows who I am. Rachel refused to have me on, and I don't know why. Like in all the years, Rachel never had me on, which always bothered me a bit. Because I mean, we weren't friends, but we were friendly. She knew who I was. And I was like, it was kind of weird. So yeah. But in any case, but you kind of need to know the bookers and stuff. And I don't know the bookers. I would love to come on, but just because I like going, the thing is you typically don't get paid. You get paid if you're like a big person working regularly, but typically you don't get paid. So it's just kind of fun to go on just because. Thank you, Rob. TV is a very strange thing because typically you're not even on the set. Like what I mean is they're in New York or something. You're in a room by yourself. There's a camera there. The camera is operated remotely. So literally you're in a room by yourself with an earpiece and a microphone here. You can't see the host. Sometimes they'll show you the show so you can see the show, but it's very weird. So you're having a conversation and sometimes even arguing with people you can't see and you're hearing them in your ear. It's just a very weird dynamic being on TV. And the funny part is people say like, don't you get nervous? I get nervous just in that I'm publicly having an argument or something and I don't want to get it wrong, but you're not really talking in front of millions of people. I mean, you are talking in front of millions of people, but you can't see them. So that it's like talking to yourself. To me, the most fun was doing things on stage. I had done acting in high school that I loved. I've done a lot of public speaking and I love going on stage and talking. To me, that's so much fun. And because you kind of get the, you try to make some jokes, see if the audience is laughing. Like you get actors know this. I don't act really, but actors know this. You get kind of a vibe from the audience. And when the audience is laughing and into it, you can kind of get that energy and it's a lot more fun. And then you kind of get more fun and everything. But I love public speaking and stuff, but TV is weird because it's not public. It's you alone talking to a thing. Thank you, Abdul. Appreciate that. It's just very weird. Thank you, Dukovny, for subscribing. Or Duchovny. David. Muller. You can't be, sometimes they do it from home. It depends. Typically, traditionally, they'd rather get you in the studio because it's a much higher quality. But they're in another city. If you're on stage with them, it's much more fun. Much more fun. You're like arguing on the phone. In some way it is. It is. I am back from Italy, MNL. I came back Monday night. Hey, Rob, thank you for subscribing. All right. Bonne nuit, Arctic. Anyway, the host can see you. Yeah. That's a good question. I think the host can see. Yeah, the host can see you because underneath the camera, there's typically a TV screen. So if the host is looking at the camera to talk, they also can look right below the camera. And if you notice, like you guys do these guys first. If I'm looking at the camera there, you can see. If I'm looking like below the camera, I don't know whether you can tell I'm not looking at the camera. Like here's looking at the camera, here is below the camera, right? It's close. You know what I mean? So they can sort of see you, or I was telling these guys, like looking at the camera and looking a little below, now at the camera for TikTok, now a little below the camera, right? It's subtle enough that the audience may not know you're looking at a camera, you're looking at a computer screen or whatever, TV screen of the guest you're talking to. You can tell, but it's like on TV, it's relatively subtle, Anyway, whatever. TV is interesting, but as I said, I would go on again, but it's kind of a waste of your time too, though, because you've got to get there like an hour early or maybe an hour. You've got to arrive like an hour early for makeup and everything else, which means you're leaving your house an hour and a half early. Typically, you got to prepare for a good hour. Like I've got to prepare and do research and stuff. So all of a sudden, and then I've got to finish the show, get my makeup off, get the ride home. You've wasted like 4.5 hours of your day to do 10 minutes on TV or 4 hours maybe. It's just a weird experience. And they don't pay you usually. So, but it's fun. I mean, it's fun for the cachet of it to be like, I was on TV, it helps your reputation, so to speak, for this kind of stuff. Thank you, Jono. Anyway, typically they have you on for 4 minutes or 8 minutes, and that's it. So it's like, it's not a very long time. How do they do makeup for Steve Bannon? That I don't know. But yeah, the makeup, and then afterwards you got to get the makeup off, which drives me crazy because they give you the wipes to do it with. But my God, I don't know how women do it, or women who wear makeup. It's a hell of a lot of like you're sitting for 5 minutes, and every time I do this, I'm getting more and more makeup coming off. It's really, but again, for TV, it's a lot of makeup anyway. Maybe more than you would put on as a woman normally, unless you go to Mar-a-Lago. Then you know what I'm talking about. Discord is an app. It is indeed. Taking off makeup's a learned skill, but it really is though. Like at night, I could imagine getting that stuff all over your pillow. It's really, ugh. Vlad is good. I talked to Vlad when I was in Italy because my nephew works with him. Virtually. So they were talking using some, video app. So I got to talk to Vlad for a minute. His wife and daughter have been sick. So I think with whatever's going around. So, but he's good. He's good. So at this point, I'd say probably a week ago, I checked in with Vlad. So, interesting. The good makeup is expensive because it's meant to be sweat and wet resistant. Yeah, exactly. Because you don't want it showing sweat. And I remember doing stage makeup. And my stage makeup was a problem in drama in high school because you'd get wet. But I think you got wet maybe because the makeup wasn't as good. Like I've never gotten wet from, oh God, now the scammers are coming here. I've never gotten wet doing makeup on TV here in the States. Yeah. Now we've got the fake Elons coming here. They like to come and basically there's, you guys know this, by the way, TikTokers, there's all of these scam accounts pretending to be Elon Musk. Literally none of them are him. But one of them just came in right now on the show, but they're all over the comments on TikTok too. I'm assuming nobody falls for this, but I figured I'd mention this just to be safe. So people know this is not the real Elon Musk, but it's kind of amazing. I guess, if you're trying to scam people for money, all you need is one person, right? The one woman in Italy. Remember the one woman, was it in Italy or where, that she thought she was dating Brad Pitt and she sent him $800,000 or something? Was it Italy or Germany or where? I'm forgetting. It's like crazy stuff. And they used AI to like do photos with her to convince her it was him. It was really weird. Very weird. So it was the real him. Except if it was the real him, I'd leave. If it was the real him, I'd probably block. Oh, was it a French woman? Okay. French woman. Yeah. Very sad though, but she thought she was dating him and he got her to send $800,000 or something insane. Just crazy. Yeah. It could be the same. It could be the real Brad Pitt now that he no longer has Angelina, who we love. Oh, that's what I was going to see. Hold on. Jaw-dropping revelations in the New York Times on the most recent Trudeau-Trump calls. Report says that Trump, alongside rehearsing familiar lists of grievances against Canada, told Trudeau he wanted to revise the U.S.-Canadian border. Oh my God. See, this is what I mean. You people had better stand up to him in Canada. He also brought up, New York Times, Trump also brought up something more fundamental with Canadian Premier Trudeau. He told Trudeau that he did not believe that the treaty that demarcates the border between the two countries was valid and that he wants to revise the boundary. He offered no further explanation. The border treaty Trump referred to was established in 1908 and finalized the international boundary between Canada, then a British Dominion, and the U.S. Trump also mentioned revisiting the sharing of lakes and rivers between the two nations, which is regulated by a number of treaties, a topic he'd expressed interest in before. Canadian officials took Trump's comments seriously, as you should, not least because he had already publicly said he wanted to bring Canada to its knees. Jesus. In a news conference on January 7th, Trump responding to a reporter's question about whether he was planning to use military force to annex Canada, said he planned to use economic force. I'm telling you guys, you need to cut off the power. I would cut off the power. I wouldn't just raise the price. I'd cut it off. I mean, this stuff is dangerous as hell, what he's doing. Absolutely dangerous as hell. But he's going to revisit the border with Canada. Honestly, and this is where other NATO countries need to step in. I mean, literally, NATO needs to get together and say, if you do that, it will be an Article 5 violation. I mean, that's what I would say. You want to have war with the other NATO countries? Go for it. Because somebody is going to step in and stop him. The U.S. military, but somebody, Republicans in Congress, somebody's going to step in. They're not going to let him pull that crap. But if you don't stand up to him, he may just redesign the border and take some land. I could see Trump doing it. It is a possibility. He can do it if he gets away with it. That's the thing. You guys have got to stand up to him. And the Europeans, you've got to talk to your governments about standing up to him. Because this is what I keep saying about how if you do not do something sort of shocking in your face to the Americans, something very bad is going to happen, because he's going to keep doing more and more and more and more to you until something like this happens, where he literally steals land from Canada or he goes and invades Greenland. I mean, he could. He absolutely could. It's insane. But yeah. Oh, if Canadians, I would absolutely sell your U.S. homes and cancel your trips. Don't put money in our economy. Don't stop buying American goods. Get the American goods out of your stores. I saw that they're talking about taxing American vehicles that are going to Canada via the Alcan Highway. Absolutely should. Absolutely positively should. So anyway, oh man. Yeah, but I wouldn't buy US products. No, just cut us off. Cut us off. And like I said, that electricity, that's the first thing. And the potash, you need to just cut it off at this point. I mean, whatever, but he's going to do something very bad unless people stand up and go, okay, this is ridiculous. That it's got to start harming the US economy. Yeah, but you're still selling us potash. You need to, there's more you guys can do. As long as your government gets, this is not easy. The problem is the Europeans have to come defend you too. The Europeans have got to come and say just that any attempt militarily against Canada will be an attack on a NATO ally, and we will help. And watch the Americans go. Trump won't like it, but people around him are going to go, holy shit. The generals are going to go, holy shit. And at some point, the generals do have some power. Do I think he'd invade Canada? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I've said it before. Put nothing past him. We've already had him as president for 4 years. He is capable of anything. Assume anything. Don't ever, I don't want to hear from your mouths ever again. Do you think Trump is capable of X? He is capable of everything. If you're still, and I don't mean to be rude, but I'm saying, if you're still asking the question, is he capable of something? You're not understanding how bad he is and who he is. You need to assume he will do anything. Anything he says, assume it's true, that he will do it. And in general, assume that we are not your friend. I am. America is not your friend anymore. America is not your ally. They're basically an enemy right now. They may not be a military enemy, we'll see. But we are not your friend anymore, according to Trump. I think he'd come in and take your land. I think the U.S. would come if he wants to renegotiate the border. Send some troops across and grab the land? Yeah. And put up a new fence? Yeah. And what are you going to do about it? That's what I mean. What are you going to do about it? This is what we're worried about the Russians doing, like in the Baltic states or Poland. What if the Russians come in and take just a little bit of land and put up a new fence? Are we going to nuke them? Right? No. Right? What are you going to do? You'd have to attack. Right? But seriously, think about it. Some secret thing overnight that he crosses the border and grabs some land and puts up a fence. What are you going to do? Right? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, you got to prepare for this. It's terrible. This is crazy stuff. It's absolutely crazy stuff. You know? Anyway, not to end on that note, but this is incredibly dangerous stuff this guy's doing. I mean, you know this, but just unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. He's going to renegotiate he's going to talk about invading Canada. And mind you, this is the guy that was elected to stop all wars. He's now threatening war with Canada. He threatened to invade Panama. He threatened to invade Greenland and go to war with Denmark. He's threatening to invade Gaza and bomb there. Am I missing something? Was there somewhere else he was talking about invading? I mean, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. He's talked about 5 wars. Well, I don't know if he's talked about going after Iran yet. He probably will. 4 or 5 wars already Trump has threatened. I mean, these people are unbelievable. And of course, we're going to stop all war except the 4 or 5 wars he just threatened. Troops into Mexico. Exactly. Anyway, all right, guys, I'm going to go. It's 7:45. We've been doing this for an hour and 45 minutes. All right. So have a good night, all. Jeffrey, good to see you. I'm going to sign off first on Discord. So yeah, tomorrow morning, remember, any of the subscribers, join me in the morning for the monthly subscribers. That's everybody with SNN next to their name on TikTok, the green named people on YouTube, and of course the colored names people on Discord. All right, Jeffrey, have a good night. Our audience of one. Hang on here. Let me hang up. One moment. There we go. All right. Discord is done. YouTube, have a good night. All right. Hanging up on the YouTubers. And then TikTok, hanging up on you guys in a quick second as well. All right. YouTube, have a good night. And